Hello, strangers and rangers. Back at it again with Draw Me After You, Let Us Run. We are reading chapter 4 today. Meant to have this out yesterday, but unfortunately life gets in the way. So we are jumping in. You're infuriating, Voldemort hisses the moment that Harry opens his eyes in the dream. Harry groans, pushing himself up from the chaise with a crack of his spine and a tilt of his head. His body is much too stiff to have truly slept here in this lavish room that Harry doesn't recognize, and he knows he must still be curled up on a cot somewhere in the woods. This is not the first time Voldemort has dragged him into his dreams, something he began doing not long after he could no longer press into Harry's own, and Harry knows it is unlikely to be the last. "Did you think I would toss myself over the edge without a plan?" Harry asks, cringing back as his words rouse the usual agitation in Voldemort up enough that he stops his pacing, spins, and snarls into Harry's face, bracing clawed hands against the back and the arm of the chaise, pinning him into the corner. "You, Harry Potter, have a death wish," he hisses. "I wouldn't put it past you." Harry snorts. "Wouldn't that just make your life easier if it were true?" "Tell me where you are," Voldemort demands. A slow, delighted grin that he knows gets right under Voldemort's skin uncurls over his face, unbidden but completely welcome. "Come find me." Scene break. Dreams often reflect life. It is not often that life reflects dreams. Scene break. The spell that comes for him is not one of Voldemort's. It comes with a crackle and a crack, a hint of madness in the air, and even Dumbledore seems too slow to stop it. Later, Harry will realize that this is on purpose. Voldemort is not too slow. His rage is vicious as he deflects the spell with a flick of his wand. As he cuts the Death Eater, Bellatrix, Harry realizes, down to the floor with a counter curse that has her writhing, even as the others come to a faltering stop. "Useless," Voldemort spits. "Hold your wands." They do. And then, invariably, Voldemort's focus returns to Harry, to the prophecy he has outstretched in his palm. He has, a number of times in his life, been stared at, ogled, dissected for any hidden strength or weakness. It is nothing compared to the regard with which Voldemort gives him now. "You wish to bargain," Voldemort says, almost sweetly, a cruel croon of wicked amusement that makes Harry shake. "For your life, perhaps?" "No," Harry says, surprised by the steel of his own voice, perhaps only bolstered by Dumbledore standing there with his wand between Harry and certain doom. "But I would strike a deal with you." Voldemort tilts his head, gaze not straying from Harry's own, and Harry thinks he feels a press of intention, of seeking fingers touching at the gray matter of his brain. He bares his teeth, presses back, and lifts the orb. Voldemort stiffens. "Play fair," Harry warns, "or don't play at all." "My lord," the Death Eater hisses, but Voldemort raises a hand, face twisted with hate and red eyes unrelenting against Harry's own. "Name your terms," Voldemort breathes, mouth twitching with something like amusement, like Harry is a very interesting bug under the heel of his boot. "And perhaps I'll consider them." "And I should take your word?" Harry asks, dubious, voice carrying. "For all that you won't actually give it?" Voldemort's nostrils flare. "An act of good faith, then. An oath. I swear I will not harm you or your companions until the completion of our conversation. And your Death Eaters will stay their wands as well." Harry takes a deep breath. He can feel the weight of Voldemort's words of magic settling in the air. Padfoot presses his head against Harry's hip. Harry's fingers find his fur. There's a shuffling off to the side. Harry doesn't look, but the hair on his neck raises. Instinct in Dumbledore's quick urging glance has his heart racing. He does not have time to bargain for it all. He will take what he can get. "You want the prophecy," Harry says. "I want my loved ones safe. I want the guaranteed safety of my friends and their families until I give it to you." "Will you provide a list?" Voldemort asks, tone dry. There is soft laughter that echoes like so much mocking around the atrium. Harry bites on the inside of his cheek. I will give the prophecy to you, I swear, Harry says, and sees Voldemort's eyes widen just a fraction as the weight of Harry's own words settle into the oath weaving into the air between them, invisible and heavy. Guarantee their safety. Voldemort's mouth twists into a delighted, horrible smile. Done. At his side, Padfoot whines. Dumbledore's mouth presses thin. But it is too late. The oath settles and snaps into place. The Death Eaters laugh. Harry, Dumbledore starts. There is a pop somewhere. Voldemort's gaze draws away and Harry tugs at Padfoot's fur. Voldemort snarls. What? My lord, the Death Eater from before gasps out. The apparition wards! The Aurors will have been alerted! Harry tugs a bit sharper at Padfoot's scruff. Voldemort sneers and steps forward, hand out. The prophecy, boy. You swore it. There's a tingle of magic at his fingertips, a glance shared with Dumbledore, a smile and a very faint nod given. I did swear, Tom, Harry says, and I will give it to you. His hand is in his hand. His wand is in his hand. Sirius changed and standing at his side as they both clutch at the holly in an instant. Voldemort's face twists into something manic. Harry smiles. You just have to catch me first. And then, with a step and a twist and his godfather guiding him, they are gone. Scene break. The first time Harry runs away from Lord Voldemort, it goes like this, with a magically binding promise, with a pop of sight-along apparition, and a stream of Aurors to buy them time. Scene break. You brilliant boy! Sirius crows the second their feet are on the ground, scooping Harry up into his arms. You brilliant, utterly mad lad! Harry laughs as Sirius spins him, clutches the prophecy close, realizes just how completely insane his plan is the moment Sirius has set him on the ground again. They're just outside of Hogwarts, the castle looming. Harry glances at it, wistful, as his realization begins to settle at the back of his mind. Sirius, we have to go. Sirius blinks. Go? Go where? Anywhere, Harry says. Anywhere but here, where he will find me. Sirius frowns. His brow pinches. We have to run. Yes, and quickly, Harry says. You don't have to come if you'll... That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard, Sirius says, pulling him close and cradling the back of his head. Where you go, I go. Harry feels relief sink into him as he sinks into his godfather's arms. He smiles. Thank you, Sirius. Sirius kisses his crown. Let's get moving. Scene break. The second time Harry Potter runs away from Lord Voldemort, it goes like this, with his godfather, with a goodbye, with a gift. Harry doesn't think that they should return to Grimmauld Place, but Sirius insists. It's still the dead of night, but the entire house is in an uproar. Kingsley is there with Dumbledore, and Severus Snape is hovering with his perpetual scowl. Dumbledore smiles upon seeing them, clapping his hands together to settle the wild, rampant chatter filling the room, the Weasleys and Hermione and Remus all there demanding to know what is going on. If Harry were a lesser man, for as much as a 15-year-old boy can be a man, he would take a great deal of satisfaction in their unanswered demands to be told what is going on. Admittedly, he is at the very least a little vindictive, and even as Hermione's wide eyes find his own, even as she jumps up from the couch and pulls Ron after her, he does get a small kick out of knowing more than them, of not only being in the loop, but being the bloody ringleader. Harry, Hermione gasps, pulling him to her, arms tight over his shoulders as Ron crowds in and rests his hand at the center of Harry's back, as if to reassure himself that Harry is there. Oh, we were so worried. Ron's fingers curl in at his shirt and tug. Yeah, mate. Right in bed, cloak was gone, no note. Mum went near mental. Harry knows he means that he went near mental. They've all been worried, all been treating him like so much broken glass for months. I'm fine, promise, Harry says, glancing first at Sirius and then at Dumbledore. He's got a prophecy and a Horcrux in his bloody backpack, and they are not here to stay, so he savors the embrace because he knows it will be a long while before he gets it again. I was with Sirius. And Dumbledore? There's a small clatter from the kitchen door. It swings open, and Dobby comes out, shoving Creature's pawing hands away with one hand and a bright smile, the other clutching a teacup to offer up to Harry. And with Dobby, Mr. Harry Potter, sir? Harry smiles. Yes, and with Dobby. Someone clears their throat. When Harry looks, Snape has his arms folded in front of himself, looking utterly unimpressed and rather painfully impatient. Yes, well, now that we're all assured that the boy and his mutt are not in fact rotting in some gutter, Snape drawls, narrowed eyes turning on Dumbledore, I do believe you should tell us what exactly is going on. Dumbledore, patient and kind as ever, simply smiles and nods his head. I'm afraid that Mr. Harry Potter will not be returning to Hogwarts. There is a pause, and then the entire house is in an uproar. It takes a while to settle them down. It takes longer to explain. Molly Weasley keeps interrupting, keeps gesturing at Harry and calling him child while Dumbledore explains. He minces his words as he tells them about the prophecy and the oath, hides what he needs to, and the only one who seems to notice is Snape. Even Remus is distracted, off to the side with Sirius, talking in hushed tones as Dumbledore promises that everything is going according to plan. Harry nearly laughs. What plan? There's definitely no plan. Harry is just, as usual, flying by the seat of his pants. Hermione is the one who cuts to the point, and Harry isn't all that surprised. So Harry will be staying here with Sirius? Ah, Dumbledore's gaze falls on Harry. I do believe that decision is rather up in the air. Harry gives a small shake of his head. Snape is not the only one to catch it because Hermione's eyes go a bit wet, and then she is off the couch, where she squeezed Harry down in between her and Ron to clutch at his hand, and is bounding up the stairs before anyone can stop her. Snape, however, rounds on Dumbledore. You cannot be serious, he demands. Sirius perks up. No, actually, that'd be me. Snape's mouth curls into a snarl. He is a boy. You expect him to carry out this scheme on his own? The Dark Lord will hunt him down in days, in hours. He won't be alone, Sirius frowns. I'll be with him. Yes, because that's such an assurance. Watch your tongue, Snivellus. I'd hate to see it cursed off. Snape tosses his hands in the air. You expect this overgrown child to protect him? They'll be dead within the week. Severus, Dumbledore says, resting a hand on Snape's shoulder. I assure you I do not do this with a light heart. Then don't do it, Snape says. In the midst of this arguing, Hermione returns. In her hand is a small pouch sewn together with a cinch at the top, and she holds it out to Harry with a bitten lip and wet eyes. Take this, she says. I'd been saving it for... Well, I suppose it doesn't matter now. What is it? Harry asks with a small frown, taking it from her and opening it to peer into its empty depths. Moleskin, Hermione says in a hush, wiping her eyes with the back of a hand as she takes her seat back next to him, leaning in so that they can talk under the argument still passing back and forth between the adults in the room, and Ron leans in to clutch at Harry's knee and Hermione's wrist. Hagrid told me about it. Very rare. When you put in, whatever you put in, no one else can get out. Keep the prophecy in it. Keep it on you at all times. It's enchanted, so you can put other things in there too. More than you probably think. Harry offers up a weak but honest smile. Magic is brilliant. They laugh. The laugh it earns him from both his friends is watery. Yes, Hermione says. Yes, I suppose it is. Ron bobs his head, throat working, brows furrowing. Maybe we should go with you. They aren't speaking as quietly as they probably should, because Molly Weasley hears this and hisses like a cat. Ronald Weasley, you will do no such thing, she snaps. Ron blinks up at her. Mum, he's my best mate, and he would want you in school or at home where you are safe, she insists. Harry can see the anger building in Ron's face, in the red cheeks and the way his shoulders draw up. Harry rests his hand at the center of his back. It's all right, Ron. It's easier if it's just Sirius and me. A kid and his dog on the run are a lot harder to find than 3 kids and a dog. Hermione sniffles. He's right, Ron. Ron huffs. Doesn't mean I have to like it. No. Harry shakes his head, knocking his shoulder into Ron's. Do me a favour? Watch Hedwig for me. I don't think I'll be able to take her along without getting noticed rather quickly. Ron's smile is a tremulous thing. Of course. Anything, mate. When will you leave? Hermione asks, fingers creeping back over to clutch at his hand again. Harry squeezes back, clutches tight, smiles the best he can. As soon as possible, Harry says. It's goodbye, then, Ron mumbles, scooching in closer. Harry nods jerkingly, like a puppet on strings. He feels as though he is still soaring on adrenaline, still staring Voldemort in the face and telling him to come and catch him. His mouth is dry. Hermione shakes her head quickly, hair everywhere, and he loves his friends so very much. No, she insists, clutching at them both. This isn't goodbye. Never goodbye. Harry's chest aches. He pulls them both closer still, their heads together, his heart warm. Never goodbye, he promises. Just to see you later. Hermione laughs, and Ron does too. Arms over their shoulders, he keeps them there for as long as he can, for he does not know when he will have them again. Scene break. And forgive me, water break. The third time Harry Potter runs away from Lord Voldemort, it goes like this, with a swift wind carrying him toward the unknown. The moleskin pouch holds the prophecy, wrapped up and nestled deep into... The moleskin pouch holds the prophecy wrapped up and nestled deep into an impervious skin that Remus hands him easily. It holds the Horcrux, his two-way mirror, his map of Hogwarts, and his cloak, too. It even, inevitably, holds the box of tricks and treats that the Weasley twins hand him. Fred and George winking as they pass him their prototypes, along with a little vial filled with some small stones that, when Harry holds them up to the light, look a bit like tiny meteorites. When Harry asks, Fred slings his arm around Harry's shoulders and pulls him close. Little something we special ordered, Fred says as George nods. Should help you out in a pinch. Just throw it down and let the magic happen. Fred squeezes at Harry's shoulder as George ruffles his hair. Harry grunts and ducks his head. Stay safe out there, little benefactor. We'd hate to lose our biggest investor. When they smile down at him, wide and perhaps a bit forced, Harry can't help but smile back. We haven't even opened up shop yet, after all, they say together. Can't have you dying before you even see the return on your charitable donation. So Harry reads the label on the vial with his brows up and tucks it away with the rest of his things in the pouch. The entire house seems to be in a tizzy, Walburga's portrait included, wailing away until someone pulls the curtains over her again, as Harry and Sirius gather what they need before they take their leave. Molly keeps bickering with Creature in the kitchen, cooking her stress away, muttering about food and growing boys the entire time. Sirius disappeared up the stairs with Remus not long ago. He enjoys what warmth he can, sitting at the table in the dining room with his friends until it becomes a little too much and he sneaks away. It's hard to imagine this might be the last time he sees them all. In the parlor, surrounded by the Black family tree, Harry lingers in the quiet. He thumbs at the pouch over his shoulder, tucked safely away in his clothes, and wonders if he'll ever see this room again. When someone clears their throat, Harry turns. He's surprised to find Severus Snape standing there. He'd left not long after the late-night argument with Dumbledore in a flurry of billowing robes, cursing everyone's idiocy, and he hadn't thought he'd see him again before he left. This expedition is unwise, Snape says, before Harry can say anything. I'd go so far as to call it completely imbecilic. The Dark Lord will hunt you down. Harry shrugs and offers up a crooked smile. Well, I'm very good at running. Closing his eyes, Snape lets out a long breath. You will run for the rest of your life. My friends will be safe, Harry says. Their families will be safe. Snape sneers down at him, drawing closer across the parlor until he can tower over Harry and peer down his nose at him. And everyone else? If he's too busy chasing after me, Harry says, what time will he have to come after the rest of you? Positively idiotic, Snape hisses, but then digs into his robes and thrusts out a small dragonhide case toward Harry. Take this. Carefully, cautiously, Harry does. What is it? He asks. Potions, Snape says, like it's being pulled from the clench of his crooked teeth, and a few herbs reduced to potent oils, dittany, peppermint, and the like, most with healing properties in case they are needed. Harry blinks a few times, opening the case and staring at the vials all lined up in neat rows, corks labeled, organized from most to least helpful in 3 rows of 9. The case is charmed to protect the vials and keep them in a stasis, Snape adds with something like reluctance. Once a vial is empty, remove it and close the case, and I should be notified, and perhaps be able to get you more. Just as carefully as he took the case, Harry closes it again and looks up at Snape. A part of him, a young and recklessly cruel part, almost wants to ask Snape if they're poison. He doesn't. Thank you, sir, Harry says. This will be very helpful. Yes, Snape nods. I imagine it will be. Do try not to get yourself killed. Very hard to kill, sir, Harry replies a little dryly, and he thinks he catches Snape's mouth twitch. Yes, you very much are. Snape nods again. Then, even more impossibly, he reaches up, almost like he might push aside Harry's hair. Instead, his hand rests so lightly it almost feels non-existent on Harry's shoulder. Your mother. Snape cuts himself off, lips thinning, fingers digging in a bit. You know how to cast a Patronus, to send for help with it. Use it. Harry wants to know. He wants to ask and press and needle Snape until he says what he originally meant to say. Instead, he nods. Yes, sir. Good. And without another word, Snape turns and leaves. Leaves Harry alone in the parlor, holding a case of potions Severus Snape made just for him that will inevitably go into his milkskin pouch. Leaves Harry alone, wondering exactly what had just happened, stunned and a little bit relieved in the same breath. Harry is not alone for much longer. Because then Sirius is there with his grim smile and a bag slung over his shoulder. Sirius is there holding out a hand. Sirius is there and Harry knows it is time to leave, to run. Hermione gets one last hug in before they head out the door. Ron does too. Molly hands him a sack of sandwiches and all sorts of other things, wrapped up and under charms, to put in his pack with his clothes as she tearfully cups his face and kisses his forehead. Ginny smacks a kiss to his cheek. Dumbledore gives him a journal, promises it will guide him, and tells Harry to follow his instincts, that they will not lead him astray. He hopes that Dumbledore is right. When they step outside the wards, Harry does not have to look. When they step outside the wards, Harry does not have to look back to know that they are being watched, that Hermione is crying into Ron's shoulder, that he is leaving his family mostly behind in order to keep them safe. I have everything that we'll need for a while, Sirius promises, holding Harry's hand tight in his, a wand in the other. You ready? As I'll ever be, Harry admits. We keep moving, Sirius says. We don't stop, not for long. We keep moving, Harry nods, clutching tighter at Sirius's hand. It'll be okay, pup, I promise. Sirius sighs. Hold tight now. I'm making quite the jump. And then, with a turn of the heel and a crack of sound, they are gone, taken with the wind. Scene break. Harry Potter runs away from Lord Voldemort, and it goes like this. He does not stop. He is not alone. At least, not at first. End chapter 3. Thank you so much, as usual, for being here with me on this read-through. I hope you enjoyed. I'm going to have to work on my Snape voice. I used to be better at it, and something's gone off, and now I can't quite get that nasally kind of drone that he does. Maybe I just need to listen to some old Alan Rickman. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you want access to any more chapters after chapter 5 in terms of read aloud, please see the links down below and consider becoming a patron. $10 a month, super simple. You get access to all the YouTube videos and exclusive live streams. And if you become a service top, you get access to a private Discord where we watch movies. We're actually watching a movie today. We're watching The Mummy, 1999. Very exciting. So anyway, if you're interested in any of that, if you are interested in reading the fiction in its entirety, links down below, blog link down below. Come say hi. Leave a little comment, leave a little message. Always happy to chit chat about this. Anyway, I'm gonna go because my stomach keeps growling. I hope you guys can't hear it, but it has been growling. I need to eat. I hope you guys have a lovely afternoon. I will try to get chapter 5 up tomorrow or Sunday. It may end up needing to be broken into 2. It is a very long chapter. So have a lovely day. Bye-bye.